So just a few words on the introductory aspect of Ramadan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions this blessed month, the month of Ramadan, in the Quran. And obviously, when Allah, the Creator, mentions this blessed month in the Quran, it bears great importance and is very, very, very significant. Allah mentions in Surah Al-Baqarah, He states, "Shahr Ramadan alladhi unzila fihi al-Quran." The blessed month of Ramadan is that month in which Allah had revealed the Quran. So from the preliminary words of this ayah, we learn that the Quran and Ramadan go hand in hand. The Quran and Ramadan are very closely related together. And one of the things that we can prepare prior to the blessed month of Ramadan is to connect ourselves with the Quran. Because when Allah defines the blessed month of Ramadan, it's defined as the blessed month in which Allah has revealed the Quran. The noble speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is today as it was 1400 years before. There is not even a change of a single letter in the Quran. And it will remain so until Yawm al-Qiyam. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues, هُدًى لِلنَّاسِ وَبَيِّنَاتٍ مِّنَ الْهُدَى وَالْفُرْقَانِ. Within the Quran is guidance for mankind. If a person with a sound heart and mind, seeking the truth and guidance, was to read and study the Quran, they would be given the way towards guidance. And then Allah says, وَبَيِّنَاتٍ مِّنَ الْهُدَى وَالْفُرْقَانِ. There are manifest proofs and signs of guidance and ways in which you will be able to determine and distinguish between what is the truth and what is falsehood within the Quran. So the first introductory verses of the Quran, where it explains about Ramadan, what does it explain to us? It explains to us that this is the very month in which Allah revealed down the Quran. And therefore, as Muslims, as claimants of people who affiliate with Islam, the thing that we need to do, the first thing that we need to do in order to prepare ourselves for the blessed month of Ramadan is to connect ourselves with the Quran. The Quran is a complete code of life. There has been drastic revolutionary changes in the hearts of people who did not embrace Islam before just by reading the Quran. The Quran is the living miracle of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, manifest from the tongue of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues, فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْهُ. Whoever witnesses this month, the month of Ramadan, then he should keep a fast. We will explain the rulings in relation to that. I am today, inshallah, going to deal and tackle with the fiqhi aspects, the jurisprudence governing the fasts of Ramadan. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَنْ كَانَ مَرِيضًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ فَعِدَّةٌ مِّنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرٍ. If you are ill, okay, I'm just loosely translating here as ill. I will explain what kind of illness is recognized in the sacred Islamic law as something by which you shall be exempt from fasting. You can't say, I've got a migraine, I've got a headache, too much stress at work, come home, I can't fast. Okay? Because obviously the immense barakah that lies in the blessed month of Ramadan. The Prophet ﷺ said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, if people were to know, if only people were to know the blessings that lie within the fasts of Ramadan, then they would desire, they would beseech Allah, implore unto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if only the entire year was to be made Ramadan. If only we knew. But obviously, we have a screen of the unseen. Everything is in the unseen realm. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Baqarah says, this Quran هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. The Quran is a guide, is a means of guidance to whom? To the God conscious. Who are they? Allah defines them. The first definition which Allah gives, the first characteristic which they should have internalized within themselves, muttaqeen, are those who have unconditional belief in the knowledge of in the unseen. Allah said it, the Prophet ﷺ said it, khalas. Whether we understand wisdom or not, it doesn't matter. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then says, so whoever is ill, or whoever is a traveler on a journey, فَعِدَّةٌ مِّنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرٍ, then they are to fast, they can fast on another day, i.e. after Ramadan finishes, if the journey and the illness is of such a criterion which the Sharia says that they are exempt from fasting, then they will make up for their fasts after Ramadan. I will explain that in detail later on, inshallah. Then Allah says, يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرَ وَلَا يُرِيدُ بِكُمُ الْعُسْرَ. Allah intends ease for you. From 360 days, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to dedicate only 30 days of not continuous perpetual fasts. Not from the break of dawn until sunset, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to stay away from eating and drinking and other restrictions that the Sharia has stipulated, only for them hours. But before that you've already had suhoor, the pre-dawn meal, and after that you have food, iftar. Okay, you can break your fast. Only for them 30 days Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to endure this phase of mujahada, struggle. And as Imam Irfan Chishti will explain to you, this is a very important spiritual exercise, because remember one thing here, it is not only a detox for the physical body. Fasting is not only beneficial for the physical body, it is a spiritual nourishment. It cleanses and purifies the heart, which is the most important thing which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to see, which is a pure heart. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, especially the fast of Ramadan, wants us to crush that ego, to break that desire, to break that ego, to subdue it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then emphasizes this later on in many verses of the Quran, one of them in particular, يَوْمَ لَا يَنْفَعُ مَالُ وَلَا بَنُونَ إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. The day of judgment is known as a day where your children and your assets and your property and your wealth and your fame and your Facebook fans and your followers on Twitter, etc., they will be of no benefit to you, save the one who comes with a sound heart. Qalbin Salim. A heart which has the love of Allah and His Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. A heart which is free from carnal desires. A heart which is free from greed. A heart which is free from arrogance and haughtiness and self-deceit. This is one of the most important objectives of fasting. What does Allah say in the Quran? يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. O you who believe, these fasts of Ramadan have been stipulated, have been prescribed to you, just as they were prescribed to people before you, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that this element of God consciousness is instilled in your heart. So then it continues. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intends ease for you, even though you are enduring the 21-hour, 22-hour long fasts. Without food and without water, remember at the end of the day, He is our creator. He is Ahkamul Hakimeen. What is the reward of fast? The Prophet ﷺ said, As-sawmu li, quoting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hadith Qudsi, As-sawmu li wa ana ajzi bih, or wa ana ujza bih, in one narration. Fasting is for me, and I am the reward for those who fast in sin. And then Allah then emphasizes this. Allah intends ease for you. 21-hour fasts, 22-hour fasts, how are you going to cope? This is not the way to prepare for it. Your eyes should be on the prize. What is the prize? The prize is meeting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment with your fasts as being the means and the cause for you to enter Jannah. So Allah then says, Allah has not intended difficulty for you. Everything is easy. All you need to do is to be mentally, physically and spiritually, most important, spiritually prepared for Ramadan. Physically, obviously, what Imam Sha'arani rahmatullah mentions is the only way you will be able to maximize the benefit that you can take from Ramadan is to endure hunger more than the normal hunger phases that you endure outside of Ramadan. Say you have in university, obviously, you may have lectures upon lectures upon lectures. It doesn't happen, obviously, but a day where it's all the segments are all filled with lectures and then you don't have enough time to eat. You don't complain. Okay, you enjoy that for a purpose. But here in Ramadan, Allah expects you to endure longer hours of fasts. Why? Because they are the means of severing the ways, the channels in which Satan can influence you. The Prophet ﷺ said in one hadith, "Inna shaytan yajri min al-insani majra ad-dam." The Satan circulates around the body of the son of Adam just as blood circulates around the body. Therefore, sever the ties, sever the ways in which Satan can influence you by enduring hunger and thirst. What greater a way to do that than the fast of Ramadan? We need to endure that. Why? Because Imam Sha'arani mentions a very, very beautiful point. I'm just going to read it out to you. وقد كان المؤمن في الزمن الماضي لا يخرج من صوم رمضان إلا وهو يكاشف الناس بما في سرائرهم لشدة الصفاء الذي حصل عنده من توالي طاعات وعد المخالفات. He says here, the believers, when they used to finish their fasts, you know how much spirituality they had? Do you know at what station of spirituality they were? He said, because of the intensity of the purity of their heart, because of the intense purity and purification they had received by maximizing the potential they could have gained from Ramadan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala unveils the veils of the unseen, and they are able to see the unseen. They are able to see what is in the hearts of people. لشدة الصفاء الذي حصل عنده من توالي الطاعات, because they were consecutively, perpetually engaged in the worship of Allah in the month of Ramadan. They maximized their potential in the month of Ramadan. Allah cleansed their heart to such an extent that the unseen realm is open for them. They see the unseen. Ramadan is the greatest way for us to purify our hearts. I'm just going to finish off with the ayat of the Quran. And then Allah says, وَلِتُكْمِلُ الْعِدَّةَ, and so that you complete the entire month. وَلِتُكَبِّرُ اللَّهَ عَلَى مَا هَدَاكُمْ, and then at the end, so that you magnify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you proclaim the takbir, obviously with Eid, that He has guided you towards the right path. وَلَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ, and so that you may be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is one ayat of the Quran in which Allah mentions about Ramadan. Now, inshallah, very briefly, we will go and through the fiqhi aspects of fasting. It's a dry subject. I'll try and inshallah go through it as swiftly as I can, because it's very, very important. Why is it very important for us to learn about the fiqh aspect of Ramadan? Simply because if you do not know which thing invalidates my fast, and you do it, and your fast is invalidated, at the end of the day, when you reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in anticipation of the reward for fasts, you will have zilch in your book of deeds. You will have nothing. Why? Because you did not follow how the Sharia wants you to fast. Okay? Understanding the do's and the don'ts of fast are very, very important. I'll give you an example. One aspect of obviously worship is salah. In salah, if someone does not do sujood, which is prostration, okay, will their salah count? Obviously not. Sujood is obviously one of the most manifest aspects of salah, which is the epitome of expressing humility before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hence you can't do sajda to anyone, especially sajda ibadah, to anyone besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even sajda ta'adhimi is haram in our sharia. There are things, if you do or if you don't do, your fast will be invalidated. You have endured 21 hours of hunger and thirst only, for nothing, no reward. The Prophet ﷺ said there are many people who endure long days of fasts, long hours of fast during the day, but apart from hunger and thirst, they have nothing with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They have nothing. Obviously that was in relation to backbiting or slander, or harboring enmity in your heart whilst you're fasting, or quarreling and bickering for worldly reasons. They will have nothing from their fasts except for 21 hours of hunger and thirst. So we want to maximize the benefit that we can take from Ramadan by understanding the fiqhi aspects, inshallah Azza wa Jal, and this is why it's very important, inshallah, to learn about this. Fasting, very quickly, it literally means imsak. Imsak means to restrain yourself, to restrict yourself from something. From this meaning, the Imam al-Ghazali rahimahullah, he says in Ihya Ulumuddin, the ulama have categorized fasts into three types, into three categories. They've classified it into three categories. Number one, the fast of the awam, the fast of the khawas, the fasting of the akhasul khawas. Inshallah, we shall try and strive to make Ramadan 1437 to be the fast of the akhasul khawas. Inshallah. Fasting of the lay people, of the laymen. What is it? You open the fiqh book, it just says from dawn to dusk, from the break of true dawn until sunset, you abstain, you express abstinence from eating and drinking and other restrictions which the Sharia has stipulated from subh sadiq until ghurub, until maghrib. Khalas. After that, mashallah, whatever we eat, it doesn't matter. Not concerned with the members of the body, the limbs, protecting them from haram. It doesn't matter if we listen to music, it doesn't matter if we gaze at haram, it doesn't matter if we do haram, it doesn't matter if we go to places which are haram. Khalas, I fasted. The fiqh books say, from dawn to dusk, stop eating and stop drinking. I've done that, so I've done my bit. But obviously, there's more to fasting than that. As I told you before, if you want that purity of heart, which Imam Sha'rani mentioned before, that opens the doors to the unseen realm, then we need to go to category. We need to be fasting like those of category number 2, which is fasting of the special people, which is khawas. The khawas fast is that they not only restrain their themselves from food and drink in them hours, they protect their ears, they protect their eyes, they protect their mouths, they protect their hands, and they protect their feet, and they protect all of their outward limbs from doing that which is haram. They restrain all of these outward bodily members to do that which is haram. Not to look at that which is haram, not to listen to that which is haram, not to speak that which is haram. Al-Ghazali mentions 20 afat, 20 perditions, 20 perils, 20 destructive elements just relating to the tongue. Ghiba is one of them, slander, backbiting, etc. This is the fast that we want. But obviously we want to maximize the benefit. Okay, so therefore we need to try and fast the way category number 2, those people fast. And then, inshallah, ideally, moving on to this third category of people, their fast, the fast of the exceptional people, the elite, the creme de la creme, is that not only do they restrict their bodily members from haram, they guard their heart from having anything within it except love of Allah and love of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So nothing is in their heart save Allah and His Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Technically speaking, in Sharia terminology, fasting it's comprised of these things. It's defined as refraining from engaging in conjugal relations, refraining from entering anything into the body cavity. We'll explain this later on, whether deliberately or accidentally. But there's different rulings that stem out from this. We'll explain what's the difference between a deliberate action and an accidental action. Okay? From the time of Subh Sadiq until Maghrib, until the break of the true dawn, until sunset, accompanied with the intention of fasting. Okay, intention is also very important here. From individuals who are permitted, obligated to fast. We're going to explain all of this inshallah later on. The obligation of fasting. Fasting is like salah. Like salah is fard ayn. It's an individually binding obligation. Okay, so you can't say, Mom, can you fast this Ramadan for me? Sister, fast 10 days for me. Brother, you fast another 10 days for me. The last 10 days of his prior to Eid, Maul you fast for me. You can't do that. It's an individual binding obligation, fard ayn. And therefore, those who reject to believe it as being fard, those who reject its fardiyah, they leave the folds of Islam. And also mentioning this point here, those who miss a fard fast without a genuine reason will become liable of the punishment in the hereafter. You may not be imprisoned, put behind bars here in this dunya, but remember, in Yawm al-Qiyamah, what will Allah say? اقرأ كتابك كفى بنفسك اليوم عليك حسيبا. This book will be given to you, the book of deeds, everything will be in there. So anyone who misses a fard fast without any valid, genuine reason, not a reason that you kind of make up within yourself, I had a bit of a headache because yesterday I was playing basketball. Obviously you don't play basketball, football, someone struck the ball on my head and I got a migraine now, so I'm going to miss tomorrow's fast. You can't do that. Okay, a genuine reason means something which the Sharia says that you are exempt. If they miss a fast without a valid reason, they are accountable for it. They will be liable for the punishment. The Prophet ﷺ said, this is a missing a fast. Now, someone who may have a genuine excuse, okay, valid excuse to miss a fast. The Prophet ﷺ said, if someone had missed a fast for a reason, if they were to fast ad-dahr, their entire life, to reap the reward for that one fast that they had missed of Ramadan, they would not be able to accumulate that reward for that one fast that they had missed. Even that kafara, hopefully not, but even that kafara, hopefully it doesn't apply to anyone here, does not expiate, does not make up for the reward and the blessings and the spiritual nourishment and the upliftment that you would have received for keeping that fast. So imagine the reward that lies and the blessings that underlie the fasts of Ramadan. Fasting the entire month of Ramadan is obligatory, not 28 days or not for 26 days. Some people try and cut the corners and try and find loopholes in terms of health. The Prophet ﷺ said one hadith, Sumu tasihu. This is narrated by Imam Tabarani in Mu'jam. He said, if you keep a fast, you will become healthy. Keep a fast, Allah will give you good health. This is the hadith. And if you have yaqeen, certitude in the words of Rasulullah, certainty in the words of Rasulullah, this will happen to you, inshallah. Keep a fast, tasihhu, you will be given good health. Types of fast, obviously, there's fard, wajib, sunnah, mustahab, makruh tahrimi, makruh tanzihi, and nafal, fard, obviously. Fard fasts are the fast of the current Ramadan, okay, and also making up for any fasts of the previous Ramadan that you have missed. Some people engage, a couple of weeks ago we had a Laylatul Bara, and many people fast the 13th and the 14th and the 15th, which are known as the fast of the white days, okay, which is also recommended in the hadith of the Prophet. Anyone who fasts the white days, the 13th and 14th and 15th of every lunar month, it is as though they have fasted for the entire month. But their intention was nothing. They had fasts that they had missed from the previous Ramadan, fard fasts, and they are engaging themselves in nothing. Allah will not accept the ibadah until the fard fasts are accomplished first. Same with namaz, same with salah. So it is fard to keep the current fast of Ramadan and also any fast that you have missed from the previous Ramadan. Okay. There's wajib fast, obviously, if you made a minnah, if you've made another a vow, inshallah, if I pass my exam, if inshallah I am graduated, if I graduate from Manumet with distinct colors, inshallah, all of you, may Allah bless you with success, inshallah, Azza wa Jal. I will keep fasts. I will keep 2 fasts. Then now, inshallah, when you pass, you have to keep them fasts. Okay, that becomes wajib. Sunnah, obviously, fasting the day of Ashura with a day before it or after it, preferably the 9th of Muharram. And mustahab, Mondays and Thursdays, etc. Nafal, anything else which has been explained apart from what's been said. Makruh tanzihi, to isolate Friday only for a fast or a Saturday only for a nafal fast. You shouldn't do that, just to isolate Friday. Okay, so if you want to keep it on a Friday, try and keep it Thursday, Friday or Friday, Saturday. It's not haram, it's makruh tanzihi. Makruh tahrimi would be to fast. It's 5 days. The Eid al-Fitr, obviously, the 1st of Shawwal, and the 10th, 11th, 12th, and the 13th of Dhul Hijjah, Eid, and post-Eid 3 days after that. Niyyah does not mean that you need to memorize the Arabic, the formula for intention of by heart. You don't need to know it in Arabic. You don't even need to know it in English. Niyyah, what is the definition of niyyah? Niyyah is a firm resolution in the heart. Niyyah is from the heart, remember. Niyyah it comes from the heart. So even if you do not verbally say it, say the intention. Some people, they make a mistake. They panic. They say, Mawsar, I'm in a predicament. What's happened? They said, I've not made the intention. I forgot to verbally pronounce the intention at the time of suhoor. Said, no problem. The intention is in the heart. You had the intention in the heart, that's fine, khalas. Even if you did not say it in Arabic. Actually, in actual fact, in reality, what you need to understand is this. If you made the intention in Arabic with nothing in the heart, verbally, with nothing in the heart, and you did not understand what you were saying, you will not get the reward. So remember one thing here, when you recite the litany, the formula for the words for niyyah, make sure that you understand them. Okay? Understand the niyyah. Otherwise, merely just repeating it like a parrot, نويت أن أصوم غدا لله تعالى من شهر فرض رمضان هذا أو كذا وكذا, without understanding it, there's no meaning. Okay, niyyah is embedded within the heart. So just remember that point. The time for the niyyah for the fast of the current day Ramadan is from Maghrib until Nisfun Nahar al-Shar'i al-Dahwa al-Kubra, midday. What we typically know as Zawal. In actual fact, Zawal is the Zohar begin time, but just for argument's sake, let's say Zawal is the makruh time that commonly people know it as. So before that time, in any time from Maghrib until midday. Okay? So if you've not eaten anything, if you didn't make any intention of suhoor, you didn't eat anything after the pre-dawn meal, obviously you can make the intention at that time. From when? From Maghrib until midday. Okay? Obviously, if you make the intention at night, you will say, oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will say, or you will have it in heart, oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I have intended to fast the obligatory fast of the current Ramadan for your sake tomorrow, ghadan. If your intention is for the day, if you make it in the day, obviously then you will say, oh Allah, I intend to fast today for your sake, for the fast of Ramadan. If you missed suhoor, sahri, no problem. Don't worry, don't panic. Don't dial 999, no problem, inshallah azza wa jal. Okay, miss suhoor, no problem, make the intention. Inshallah, your fast will be valid. Swiftly moving on, inshallah, actions that break the fast. I will then categorize, there's a slide that then categorizes them between those actions which break the fast and necessitate a qada only, that you make up for them, and those actions which if you do, which do nullify the fast, not only will they necessitate a qada, they will also necessitate a kafara, an expiation. And we will also explain the expiation. It may raise a few eyebrows, it may open people's eyes, inshallah. I hope it does, to act as a deterrent to make those mistakes. Okay? Eating, drinking, etc. when you are aware that you are fasting, obviously will break the fast. However, if you forget that you were fasting and you ate or drank, then this will not break the fast. Typo their apologies. Okay? There's two things here. Okay? Number one, you knew that you were fasting. You were in the state of fasting. You knew that. And then you deliberately ate. You deliberately nullified your fast. This will obviously break the fast. It will necessitate a qaza or a qada, and it will also necessitate a kafara, an expiation, which in this case, and for us youngsters who are healthy, it's 60 days continuous consecutive fast without any interruptions in between. For one fast or Ramadan that someone deliberately broke. The second scenario is this. You are fasting, but you were so engaged in writing that dissertation, you need to hand it in last minute. Obviously with us, all Asians, obviously even last minute, and then you become absent-minded. in a lost world, no man's land. What's happened to me? And then, you know, you've got a, kajur next to you and you start eating it. There's a narration of Imam Muslim, rahimahullah. That's a different thing, inshallah. But then you absent-minded, you genuinely forgot, you absent-minded that you are fasting, and then you eat it. When you're on the last date, that's when you remember that, oh, I'm fasting. Doesn't matter. Spit out the morsel of food that's in your mouth, rinse your mouth, obviously don't gargle. Insha'Allah, your fast is valid. In the hadith of the Prophet actually says, if someone eats and drinks, when he has this lapse of absent-mindedness, it is the food and the nourishment which Allah has given him. So let him thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Chickpea size. That size or something larger was stuck in your teeth. Obviously you need to rinse your mouth properly before Sahriyan. And then you swallowed it. So something the size of a chickpea or larger was stuck in your teeth and then you swallowed it, or it was smaller than the size of a chickpea, and then what did you do? You took it out, you thought, Allah, that tastes really nice, and took it back in. Your fast will break. If it's already there inside the mouth, equal to or larger than the size of a chickpea, maybe then chicken tikka boti that was stuck in your mouth, you didn't do flossing or didn't clean your mouth properly, or them chips or badaki that you have, pakori that you had for suhoor, and they're still stuck there, and they were the size of a chickpea. You do put chickpeas inside this, most of them, they do, don't they? So the actual chickpea itself was stuck. Then just remember to clean your mouth properly, please. Okay. Okay. Now bleeding during fast. Obviously, gums bleeding, bleeding in terms of the oral bleeding. If your gums bleed, it usually happens. I did speak to a dentist that he said when you are fasting, obviously your mouth is dry because of the lack of saliva circulation in your mouth. You do tend to bleed. Now, what's the ruling for that? If your gums bleed and the blood in the saliva is equal to or more than the saliva, and the saliva passes below the throat, you swallow it, and then the fast will break. Okay, what's the criterion to know whether the fasts are, whether the blood is dominant over the saliva or not? It's to do with the taste. In fasting, it's to do with the taste. In wudu, when you do the ritual ablution, minor ritual ablution, how do you define dominance of blood over saliva? It's to do with the color. So just remember the difference here. Okay? So if you swallowed your saliva and you had tasted the bitterness of the blood within the saliva, obviously tasting would mean it has gone below the throat, your fast will break. So ensure obviously this does not happen by trying to see a dentist and have scaling done to avoid this, or do flossing before Sahri ends. If the blood is less than the saliva and you do not taste the bitterness of blood, then the fast will not break. But there's another scenario here. If the blood is less than the saliva, okay, but you are able to taste it, then irrespective of the dominance of the saliva over the blood, it will still break your fast. So the criterion here in breaking the fast is what? Taste. In wudu, it's what? Color. What do I mean? If you're doing wudu, if you perform the ritual ablution, and then you spit out water whilst you're gargling, or when you finish you spat out and there you can see a pale reddish color or redness in your blood, this means that the blood is dominant over the saliva, your wudu has been nullified. Okay? If the color of the saliva is dominant over the blood, then the wudu is intact. MashaAllah. If a syringe is used or medicine is placed up your nostrils, I wonder why people put a syringe up their nose, but that's for you to find out. You actually university students, you can do your research here. Or oil or medicine is put inside the ears. So the first was medication or syringe is placed up the nostrils, or oil or medicine goes or is placed into the ears, inside the ears, the fast will break. Okay, so there's a difference here. With water, if water goes into the ears when you're taking a bath, or you deliberately place water into the ears, it will not break the fast. Water going to the ears, irrespective of it being deliberately and intentionally, will not break the fast. With regards oil, it's a different ruling. If you place oil or medication in the ear whilst you're fasting, it will break your fast. Okay, now this is what I spoke to you at the very introductory part, that I'm going to talk about bodily cavities here. There's differences, okay? There's a difference with each cavity, which I'm going to mention later on. Coming to the second ruling here, if you're cleaning your mouth or nostrils out and water goes down your throat or went too far up your nostrils and then into your mouth canal, even by mistake, the fast will break. Hence the ruling is this: if you are fasting and there is a state of major ritual impurity where obviously it would necessitate a ghusl, then you do not gargle, you don't go like this, like this, because of it being very likely that water will seep through your throat, and if that happens, your fast will break, even though it may be accidental. Accidental, there's a difference here. Accidental means that you knew that you were fasting, but you gargled, thinking that you will be able to take the precaution measure and water will not seep through, and water will not go down, and it did. It will break the fast, obviously. Only a qaza is necessitated, not a kafara, because it was not done with intent. So therefore, in ghusl, there's three faraid. Number one, gargling, rinsing the mouth properly. Number two, sniffing water, cleaning the nostrils, obviously to an extent that it reaches the soft woman. How would you know that? Until you know, when water reaches the sinuses and you feel that sting. Okay? You feel that sting. Okay, that's a kind of word that I kind of coined just right now. That's when it's reached the soft part of the nose. If water does reach that point, then the fast has broken. If, however, again coming to that phase of absent-mindedness, you were absent-minded and you gargled, you were absent-minded, i.e. you completely forgot that you were in this, you genuinely forgot that you were in state of fasting and you gargled, water went down, your fast has not broken. Rather, the hadith says, thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whatever water you had drank, that is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So just to summarize, accidental mistakes they mean you know you were fasting, but accidentally, khata'an, you do an act that breaks the fast, that would necessitate a qada only. You make up for them after Ramadan, at the earliest convenience. Deliberate acts, you know you are fasting and then you deliberately do an act, undertake an act which breaks the fast, it will necessitate not only a qaza, it will also necessitate a kafara. What is the kafara? Once again, can I just reiterate this point here? Kafara is 60 days consecutive fasting. If someone fasted for 59 days and unfortunate for him, he became ill on the 59th day of his fast and he couldn't fast the 59th day or the 60th day subsequent to that, he will have to renew the cycle again, start from number one. To show the importance of safeguarding the fast of Ramadan, how important it is for us to keep the fast of Ramadan. Okay, let me just clarify this point in relation to vomit. Vomiting, the only type of vomit, apologies, I need to mention this, I know some people may have eaten something and they may puke right now, apologies. A mouthful of vomiting food or liquid or blood in this scenario. This is what I mean by vomit, not phlegm. If it's a mouthful of vomit, so with two conditions. If it's mouthful, what does mouthful mean? Every vomit is mouthful. What mouthful means, it's uncontrollable. You cannot keep your mouth shut. Many people can't keep their mouth shut. That's a verbal diarrhea, that's a different subject. But this is obviously uncontrollable vomit that they have to actually puke it out. And it's done deliberately. So they stick their finger inside and they vomit deliberately, a mouthful. then it will break the fast. So what does that mean? If it's deliberate and in a small amount, will it break the fast? Will it break the fast? No, no, no. The only situation, the only scenario when vomiting will break your fast will be A, when it's a mouthful, and B, when it's done with deliberate intention. So therefore, if it's natural vomiting, the day before for suhoor you ate, pakore that had gone off, but you didn't realize, but you were so hungry, you ate them, and then you obviously had a bug inside your belly, and then you vomited. It was mouthful upon mouthful upon mouthful. Doesn't matter, your fast is still intact, your fast is still valid. I have a kind of tried to collate some rulings in relation to what may arise in modern day situations. Okay, putting medicine in the eye will not invalidate the fast. It's a different ruling to the ear and to the nostril. With the eye, putting medication in the eye, be it the contact lens solution that we put into the eye, no problem. It will not break. It will not invalidate the fast. Okay. When I'm fasting, can I use surma, the antimony, collyrium? Yes, absolutely fine, no problem. You can use surma when you're fasting. MashaAllah. Okay. If someone woke up in a state that, in a state of major ritual defilement, I explained this before, it does not invalidate the fast. Okay, obviously ghusl has to be done immediately so as not to spend or miss the time of salah in a state that you in janaba. Okay, because remember the angels of mercy do not enter that home in which there's a person who is in a state of janaba. So therefore prioritize doing ghusl, but it does not break the fast. Okay. You are allowed to use a siwak, so as long as it's from a natural, it exhibits or emits a natural flavor, not the flavored ones. Okay? Then obviously the question will be, can I use toothpaste and toothbrush? No. You cannot use toothpaste. The reason is this: if you use toothpaste and you taste the toothpaste, okay, then your fast is broken. What you need to understand here is this: the Prophet ﷺ said, لَخَلُوفُ فَمِ الصَّائِمِ أَطْيَبُ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ مِنْ رِيحِ الْمِسْكِ. The change in the odor of the mouth of the person fasting smells sweeter in the sight of Allah than the sweet smell of fragrance, of musk. It smells better than musk in the sight of Allah. That change of the odor of the mouth of the person fasting is better than musk. So then the question is, can I use just the toothbrush? There's two things here. If it's a brand new brush, it's possible, yet you can. But with a used brush, you try it at home. Try this at home. Okay, try it without putting toothpaste on. You will still taste toothpaste. Okay, so therefore don't use it. Applying oil into the hair is absolutely valid. You can apply itar onto the body. MashaAllah. Okay, another thing here. Someone is complaining of has a sinus problem. What desi ilaj is to thrust Vicks into the nose or a balm into the nose. If you do that in fast, it will break the fast. Okay, you should not inhale it unnecessarily. It will be deemed as makruh. Same thing applies with an incense stick. You ignited incense stick and then you stuck it up your nose to inhale it. Obviously, that would be makruh. Okay, don't do that. Okay, I told you before, using an inhaler, asthma pump will break the fast. Only a qaza will be necessary. Just to clarify one point on illness, at the very beginning I told you I'm going to clarify this point about illness. That kind of illness which would exempt you from fasting, it is in relation to three things. Number one, if you have such an illness and you have preponderant assumption, which is known through three signs I'm going to explain later on, that fasting will increase the illness or it will slow down the process of recovery, then you are allowed to miss the fast. there's also three conditions. Number one, there are manifest signs. Okay, you're keeping the fast and something's happening to you. You know, hopefully not, inshallah, you kept the fast and balls have appeared on your body and you've suddenly turning into a Hulk Hogan type character. Hopefully it won't happen like this, but if that happens, you need to call 999. From relevant past experience, that previously you fasted, you had that illness, na'udhu billah, and you could not cope with it, you could not bear, you could not endure the fast, the hours of fasting, then you are allowed to miss that fast. But remember one thing here, it does not mean that you are exempt from fasting, that you can then ring your local pizza supplier and say, can I order an 18-inch pizza whilst the other brothers and sisters are fasting in your home and you're devouring that pizza. It is followed upon those people who have deliberately broken their fast or have missed their fast due to a genuine reason, apart from obviously women who are on their postnatal period or on the menstrual cycle. They have to remain in the state of fasting for the remainder of the day. You understand that? Okay? So, number one, manifest signs. Number two, relevant past experience to denote, yes, that the illness will be something that will hinder me from keeping the fast. And number three, you have been notified by an experienced, number one. Number two, upright. And number three, obviously, a Muslim doctor, that if you are to fast, it will prolong the illness, it will make it severe, serious. Remember one thing here, sumu tasihu, if you have yaqeen, keep a fast, Allah will give you good health. We'll finish at this point, inshallah. Wa ma alayna al-balagh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Wa ta'ala continues, هُدًى لِلنَّاسِ وَبَيِّنَاتٍ مِّنَ الْهُدَى وَالْفُرْقَانِ. Within the Quran is guidance for mankind. If a person with a sound heart and mind, seeking the truth and guidance, was to read and study the Quran, they would be given the way towards guidance. And then Allah says, وَبَيِّنَاتٍ مِّنَ الْهُدَى وَالْفُرْقَانِ. There are manifest proofs and signs of guidance and ways in which you will be able to determine and distinguish between what is the truth and what is falsehood within the Quran. So the first introductory verses of the Quran, where it explains about Ramadan, what does it explain to us? It explains to us that this is the very month in which Allah revealed down the Quran, and therefore as Muslims, as claimants of people who affiliate with Islam, the thing that we need to do, the first thing that we need to do in order to prepare ourselves for the blessed month of Ramadan is to connect ourselves with the Quran. The Quran is a complete code of life. There has been drastic revolutionary changes in the hearts of people who did not embrace Islam before just by reading the Quran. The Quran is the living miracle of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, manifest from the tongue of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues, فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمُ الشَّهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْهُ. Whoever witnesses this month, the month of Ramadan, then he should keep a fast. We will explain the rulings in relation to that. I am today, inshallah, going to deal and tackle with the fiqhi aspects. Muslim said it, khalas. Whether we understand wisdom or not, it doesn't matter. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then says, so whoever is ill, or whoever is a traveler on a journey, فَعِدَّةٌ مِّنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرٍ, then they are to fast, they can fast on another day, i.e. after Ramadan finishes, if the journey and the illness is of such a criterion which the Sharia says that they are exempt from fasting, then they will make up for their fasts after Ramadan. I will explain that in detail later on, inshallah. Then Allah says, يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرَ وَلَا يُرِيدُ بِكُمُ الْعُسْرَ. Allah intends ease for you. From 360 days, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to dedicate only 30 days of not continuous perpetual fasts. Not from the break of dawn until sunset. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to stay away from eating and drinking and other that the restrictions that the Sharia has stipulated, only for them hours. But before that you've already had suhoor, the pre-dawn meal, and after that you have food, iftar. Okay, you can break your fast. Only for them 30 days Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to endure this phase of mujahada, struggle. And as Imam Irfan Chishti will explain to you, this is a very important spiritual exercise, because remember one thing here, we are not only, it is not only a detox for the physical body. Fasting is not only beneficial for the physical body, it is a spiritual nourishment. It cleanses and purifies the heart, which is the most important thing which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to see, which is a pure heart. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, especially the fast of Ramadan, wants us to crush that ego, to break that desire, to break that ego, to subdue it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then emphasizes this later on in many verses of the Quran, one of them in particular, يَوْمَ لَا يَنْفَعُ مَالُ وَلَا بَنُونَ إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. The day of judgment is known as a day where your children and your assets and your property and your wealth and your fame and your Facebook fans and your followers on Twitter, etc., they will be of no benefit to you save the one who comes with a sound heart. Qalbin Salim. A heart which has the love of Allah and His Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. A heart which is free from carnal desires. A heart which is free from greed. A heart which is free from arrogance and haughtiness and self-deceit. This is one of the most important objectives of fasting. What does Allah say in the Quran? يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. O you who believe, these fasts of Ramadan have been stipulated, have been prescribed to you, just as they were prescribed to people before you, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that this element of God consciousness is instilled in your heart. So then it continues. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intends ease for you, even though you are enduring the 21 hours, the jurisprudence governing the fasts of Ramadan. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَنْ كَانَ مَرِيضًا أَوْ عَلَى سَفَرٍ فَعِدَّةٌ مِّنْ أَيَّامٍ أُخَرٍ. If you are ill, okay, I'm just loosely translating here as ill. I will explain what kind of illness is recognized in the sacred Islamic law as something by which you shall be exempt from fasting. You can't say, I've got a migraine, I've got a headache, too much stress at work, come home, I can't fast. Okay? Because obviously the immense barakah that lies in the blessed month of Ramadan. The Prophet ﷺ said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if people were to know, if only people were to know the blessings that lie within the fasts of Ramadan, then they would desire, they would beseech Allah, implore unto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if only the entire year was to be made Ramadan. If only we knew. But obviously, we have a screen of the unseen. Everything is in the unseen realm. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Baqarah says, this Quran هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. The Quran is a guide, is a means of guidance to whom? To the God conscious. Who are they? Allah defines them. The first definition which Allah gives, the first characteristic which they should have inculcated, internalized within themselves, muttaqeen, are those who have unconditional belief in the knowledge of the unseen. Allah said it, the Prophet said it. So, just a few words on the introductory aspect of Ramadan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions this blessed month, the month of Ramadan, in the Quran. And obviously, when Allah, the Creator, mentions this blessed month in the Quran, it bears great importance and is very, very, very significant. Allah mentions in Surah Al-Baqarah He states, شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. The blessed month of Ramadan is that month in which Allah had revealed the Quran. So from the preliminary words of this ayah, we learn that the Quran and Ramadan go hand in hand. The Quran and Ramadan are very closely related together. And one of the things that we can prepare prior to the blessed month of Ramadan is to connect ourselves with the Quran. Because when Allah defines the blessed month of Ramadan, it's defined as the blessed month in which Allah has revealed the Quran. The noble speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is today as it was 1400 years before. There is not even a change of a single letter in the Quran. And it will remain so until Yawm al-Qiyamah. And then Allah subhanahu